Funding for Election 2012 coverage is provided in part by AARP, a nonprofit, nonpartisan association, 87,000 strong in North Dakota, dedicated to enhancing quality of life for all as we age. And by the members of Prairie Public.
Welcome to Prairie Public's continuing coverage of Election 2012. I'm Matt O'Lean. This is the debate for North Dakota's U.S. Senate seat being vacated by Senator Kent Conrad. My guests today are the Republican nominee and North Dakota Congressman Rick Berg, and the Democratic nominee, former North Dakota Attorney General Heidi Heitkamp. Welcome to both of you. Thank you so much for being here. Both candidates will have a 1-minute opening and closing statement. In between, there'll be questions and topics asked by me, in which case there'll be discussion and debate. Based on a coin flip, Representative Berg, you go first with your opening statement.
Well, thank you, Matt. I'd like to thank Prairie Public and AARP, yourself, Heidi, and everyone watching. This election may be the most important election in our lifetime. You know, if we don't get our country back on track and on a road to growth and prosperity, my son, our children and grandchildren won't inherit the same country that we did. As Senator, I'll fight against Barack Obama's failed policies and fight for the idea that North Dakotans, not Washington, should make decisions about their family, their money, and their opportunities. You know, I was raised in Western North Dakota and I served in the best citizens legislature in the country, where I worked with John Hoeven and Jack Dalrymple, and we crafted policy that has made North Dakota the economic envy of the nation. Washington likes to make it complicated, but it's pretty simple. We balance our budget by living within our means and making the tough decisions, not tomorrow, but today, in our time and our watch. That's the North Dakota way, and that's what I'll fight for in Washington.
Okay, Heidi Heitkamp, 1-minute opening.
You know, 11 months ago, I got into this race for the United States Senate. I got in because, like many of you, I believed that Washington was a place that was badly broken. The politicians in Washington seemed to care more about their party than they did about the people. They cared more about their own selves than they did about moving this country forward. 2 years ago, Congressman Berg sat at this table and promised us that he would end the gridlock in Washington, that he would end the partisanship and move this country forward. That didn't happen. In fact, on important pieces of legislation like the Farm Bill, Congressman Berg said, I'm willing to cut $180 billion out of the farm program and cut crop insurance 20%. Congressman Berg was willing to change the whole Medicare system so that would eventually cost retirees about $6,400 extra dollars a year. And he was willing to give tax breaks to millionaires and tax breaks to companies that ship jobs overseas. I think that's the wrong direction.
That's 1 minute. That's 1 minute, Heidi. We need to move on to our first topic. I know a lot has been said in this campaign so far between the two of you, especially in TV ads. Some of the ads are with out-of-state money. And to start off, I just want to have this opportunity when you're face-to-face to set the record straight if you want to on any of the ads that have been running, and then we'll move on to other issues. Heidi Heitkamp, you start off on this issue.
You know, when I was in the Office of Attorney General, we had a case called Buckley versus Vallejo. Buckley versus Vallejo was a Supreme Court case that said money equals speech. It was the beginning of the end of civil campaigning, in my opinion. It was the beginning of all of this outside money. Now, to fight the outside money, I asked for 7 debates on various topics. I only got 3, and some of them very short like this one. I think what the American people and what people in this state had hoped would happen is that they'd have an opportunity to see us sit across the table, actually talk about the issues in a format that really allowed for expansion. Unfortunately, a lot of the ads aren't ads that any of us paid for at this table, but we're stuck with them and we're stuck with people's attitudes about them. Let's get money out of politics. Let's get back to having discussions like this with the American people and with the people in our state.
Okay, Rick Berg, response?
Well, I mean, certainly I think the ability to debate is the right thing. I mean, the ads, certainly from the third parties, it's a flurry of ads. But I believe North Dakotans, they believe in meeting people one-on-one. They believe in talking the issues, and really the issues couldn't be more clear in this campaign. I mean, it's an issue of government solutions or the individual solutions. And so I'm looking forward to this debate. And as we move forward in the campaign, I think the facts will set themselves straight, and the people of North Dakota, this election will be decided by the grassroots, the people that know the truth, and will come out on election day, and I'm very optimistic that, you know, we're going to have a great November.
Okay, I think we're ready to move on to specific issues then. Let's move on to the Farm Bill first. There's no Farm Bill right now. There's been a lot of back and forth on why there's not a Farm Bill right now. So I guess my question and debate is, why is there not a Farm Bill currently, and what are the prospects after election, if each of you are elected, to actually pass a Farm Bill? Rick Berg, you start.
Well, obviously, agriculture is very important. It's important to me. It's a backbone of North Dakota. My family homesteaded in North Dakota. My dad was a veterinarian. I grew up working on farms. I'm an Ag Econ grad. The challenge we've got right now, and I've pushed leadership, in fact, not only drafted bipartisan letters, signed a discharge petition, but we've pushed leadership in the House to bring the House bill to the floor. What we need is a farm bill that's based on crop insurance, and both the Senate bill and the House bill do that. I've worked hard to get it in conference committee. There's challenges with the Senate bill. Certainly tying wetlands into crop insurance is something a lot of producers are concerned with. You know, it's unfortunate that agriculture is the one issue that's been bipartisan. I mean, for the last 2 years, up until the last 2 weeks, and of course there was a Forum editorial that, you know, attacked you for attacking me in the Farm Bill and said I'm one of the hardest working people to move the Farm Bill forward. You know, the challenge out there is there's a lot of people in Congress that don't know where food comes from. They think it just shows up in the grocery store. And so that's the challenge that we have. John Boehner said that he will bring the bill up before the end of the year. I'm taking his word for that, and it'll be just like the last Farm Bill.
Okay, Heidi Heitkamp
I
response.
think there's no better example at all on the failure of this Congress than the Farm Bill. Congressman Berg stands here. He's a member of the House of Representatives. The Senate was able to pass, albeit an imperfect, Farm Bill in the Senate. Went over to the House of Representatives waiting for that Farm Bill to pass the House. And you know what? When we talk about gridlock, the gridlock we got was within the Republican Party. It was the fight between Cantor and Boehner to move this forward. Congressman Berg has talked about his effort to move the Farm Bill forward. You know, I've likened that effort to waking up in the middle of the fourth quarter, shooting the ball as often as you can, but you're 50 points down. You didn't sign up for the Ag Committee. You said you would support the Senate Farm Bill. There's no evidence that you tried. And when we talk about the discharge petition, how many votes were Republican signatures on the discharge petition? There was 8, actually 9, including yours, and over 40 Democrat votes. And so you cannot look at any kind of activity that you had on the Farm Bill and claim any amount of success or any amount of legitimate effort. The number one job of someone in the United States Senate, of someone in the Congress, is to pass a Farm Bill. Now we've gotten uncertainty because of the gridlock in the House of Representatives and not in Congress,
Okay,
Congressman.
I need to get a response from Rick
Well, I
Berg.
mean, certainly the Forum says, as well as others, that's simply not accurate. You know, the last Farm Bill expired as well. So your accusations of me, I hope they don't apply to our former senators and congressmen who are very strong advocates for Farm Bill. You know, my cousin farmed our family homestead farm. He died suddenly last spring. His high school son is taking over that farm. He won't be able to farm if he doesn't have crop insurance in place. He needs a Farm Bill passed. This is personal to me, and I'm doing everything I can, and I will continue to do what I can to get this Farm Bill passed because it's important for North Dakota.
Heidi Heitkamp.
Yeah, I mean, I come from a farming community. I grew up on a farm. I grew up picking potatoes and picking cucumbers, and I know how critical that safety net is. But you cannot escape the fact that you don't even know when you come back that you're going to be able to solve the gridlock in the House of Representatives. You promised, Congressman, the Fargo Forum that you could get things done for North Dakota because you had special relationships or relationships with the majority leader, relationships with the speaker. None of that has come to fruition, and I don't think you can lay the blame for a lack of Farm Bill on anyone's doorstep other than the House of Representatives, of which you're the member of the majority party.
Okay, Rick Berg, response?
Well, again, there's a lot of things that we should get into, but I certainly think that a good example of the problem is we haven't had a budget in 3 years from the Senate. I mean, we have a Stonewall problem, and I'll agree, the House Republicans' leadership is a problem on the Farm Bill. This is a problem that I've challenged, and I've actually worked with others in a bipartisan way to pull the votes together. I mean, there's absolutely no question what needs to be done. I've had the word of the Speaker that he's going to take it up before the end of the year. You know, that's my hope. That's what we have to do. We've always passed a farm bill. But our challenge in agriculture is, quite frankly, one of the problems out in Washington. They don't follow regular order. And as I said, with the Senate, the same problem. No budget in 3 years. I think the deficit is one of the biggest problems facing our country. And not to even have a budget, you know, I mean, this is a problem.
You know, I want to...
Final response, then we're going to move on to healthcare.
And I want to say, the Senate Farm Bill cut $23 billion. In fact, it was in excess of what they would have been required to do under sequestration. It was set up, it was there, it was real reform. And, you know, to say, just bet on me that I can get the job done. I think at this point, you know, we've seen what happened. We had a chance in July, we had a chance in August, had a chance again in September, and we saw no activity. And I don't see that the gridlock in the House of Representatives is going to get solved by an election. I think it's only going to add to the gridlock, and we're going to be debating farm policy because of the failure of the House in middle of a debate about sequestration and about balancing this budget, and that is not good for North Dakota farmers. It's not good for crop insurance, and it's not good for moving forward to provide a legitimate safety net for our farmers here in North Dakota.
That's going to be the last word on farming. Let's move on to the next issue. Heidi Heitkamp, you will start on this next issue. It comes from our debate co-sponsor, AARP of North Dakota. What proposals regarding Medicare and Social Security being discussed in Washington are of most concern to you, and are there any you would favor or support? Heidi Heitkamp, you start this time.
It's obvious the thing that is of most concern to me is the so-called premium support, or providing a voucher for Medicare into the future. We know that what that will be is set an arbitrary line. We're going to say everybody under the age of 55 who for years has been paid into this system now is going to get handed a voucher. And Congressman will say, well, but yes, they can stay in traditional Medicare. But we know if traditional Medicare only has those among the elderly who are the sickest, we've got real problems in making sure that that system is solvent. So I would tell you, creating premium support for Medicare. The second biggest problem is how are we going to keep the Medicare system solvent? Congressman Berg talks about 12 years of solvency. What he doesn't tell you is that those same people who give you 12 years tell you it's only 4 if you repeal the Affordable Care Act. And that is huge risk. We need time to get the Medicare system back working. My solutions include negotiating prescription drug prices, which I think the president was wrong when he took it off the table, getting fraud and waste and abuse out, which would be $70 or $80 billion going into the future, and taking a look at what we can do to promote wellness. You know, I have a long history of working to promote wellness in North Dakota, especially in the tobacco area. Didn't get much help from Congressman Berg when he was in the legislature in that regard, but we need to keep people healthier in North Dakota and in this country if we truly are going to solve the Medicare crisis.
We need to get a response from Rick Berg.
Well, I mean, certainly I'd like to start out that, first of all, you're incorrect on your numbers. Medicare does not go bankrupt in 4 years without Obamacare. It goes bankrupt in 12 years. Now, there is a shuffling of numbers. You have to check your facts, but the shuffling of numbers and a double counting of numbers is a point saying that it was 4 more years, not 4 years and 12 years. But there's two things here. There's two solutions. And I just want to back up. 12 years it goes bankrupt. That's bad for seniors. That's bad for people that are depending on Medicare. That was a promise to people. So let's get the facts straight. 12 years, it goes bankrupt. There's two proposals. Obamacare, which takes $716 billion out of Medicare, sets up an unelected board called IPAB that's going to make decisions for seniors. They're going to ration care for seniors. That is the challenge. That's the fundamental core. That's how they're going to balance. Or the other alternative is there's no change for anyone that's at or near retirement. And if you're 54 and younger, you can keep Medicare. That's the plan. Now, there'll be two options. The difference is choice. In the premium support, you will get two options at no cost. If you want to add some, you have the choice to add a better policy or one that fits in more to what you would like. But, you know, clearly these are two very different solutions, and it is going bankrupt.
Okay, Heidi Heitkamp, response.
And Congressman Berg, don't trust me and don't trust any partisan source. Go out and take a look at the Kaiser, Family Foundation website. It states clearly that if you repeal the health care law, the solvency date is 4 years. And so I'm not buying your facts on that.
Okay, so
The other point that I want to point out, you talk about the $719 billion. It is the biggest fib in this whole campaign. And everybody who looks at it says it is a big fib. And you know, honestly, there's only one person at this table who ever voted for that cut, and that's Congressman Berg when he voted for the Ryan plan. Both times he voted for it. And so let's kind of cut the nonsense. Health care and Medicare is way too important to people to play politics with the numbers, to play politics with this policy. We need to fix the system, and there are long-term ways we can do that, like negotiating prescription drug prices. There's long-term ways we can do that, like cutting the fraud and abuse, and start facing the facts of what's happening with Medicare. And we don't need to privatize the system the way you have recommended in the Ryan plan.
Okay, final word on this, Rick Berg, and then we'll move on to the next issue.
It's not $719 billion, it's $716 billion. It cuts money from hospitals and physicians in North Dakota. It cuts hospice. These are real cuts. $716 billion from Medicare. You know, I talked to a lady that moved to North Carolina to be with her kids, and she said she went to North Carolina. She had to go to 23 different providers before she could find someone who would take Medicare. That's the problem. When you cut 716, like President Obama did, to fund Obamacare from our seniors, people are going to quit taking Medicare patients. Now, the other thing I want to make clear is in the House budget, it did take 716, but you know what it did? It put that money back into Medicare to strengthen it. It didn't take it to pay for Obamacare. We have a crisis in our hands, and what we have to do, and this is the problem, there's too much rhetoric. We need to dig in the facts. You need to know your numbers. You need to know your facts, and we'll come up with solutions that will help our seniors and ensure that we deliver on the promise of Medicare.
Let's segue into the Affordable Care Act, or Obamacare as it is now known by both sides. It seems. What parts of the law do you each favor? What parts do you not favor? And if elected, what would be the direction you would take regarding the Affordable Care Act? Rick Berg, you start this time.
I will vote to repeal Obamacare. This is the one clear distinction in this race. My opponent will not vote to repeal it. This is a $1.7 trillion takeover of our healthcare industry. We talked a little bit about Medicare, $716 billion coming out of our seniors. But the worst thing, it creates this board of unelected officials that's going to be this IPAP board. They're going to make decisions on what's covered and what's not covered. What that fundamentally does is it puts government right between a doctor and their patient. I mean, this is a big government solution that's wrong. I remember sitting down with my wife, who's a family practice doctor, and she said, you know, this will be a problem. It puts government right between me and my patient. My son and I were having breakfast with several months ago, and this gal was bussing tables, really working her butt off, and she stopped and came by our table and she said, Rick, I wish you luck this fall, because I don't know what will happen if Obamacare stays. We started with one restaurant, now we have several. If this kicks in, I don't know what we're going to do. Olive Garden and Red Lobster this week said, we're going to go to part-time employees because we don't understand the impact. This bill creates a cloud of uncertainty and is hurting our whole economy, hurts our economic recovery, and it's hard on small business.
You need to get a response from Heidi Heitkamp.
And let me tell you about somebody I met in a restaurant. She was on crutches, and I looked down and asked her how she hurt her foot, and I looked down, and her foot obviously wasn't hurt. She had been at some point crippled, and I looked up at her, and her face was smiling, and she said, no, I had polio as a young girl. I'm one of those very famous pre-existing conditions. And then she said to me, thank you. Thank you for fighting for me. Pre-existing conditions, absolutely critical we keep it. It's absolutely critical that we eliminate the lifetime cap. It's absolutely critical that we continue to close the donut hole so that seniors have their prescription drugs when they need them. It's absolutely critical that we keep kids on our health insurance. That's all part of this health care law. But the most significant reason exactly addresses the issue that Congressman Berg raised earlier, which is paying our providers what they're due. and it's called the Frontier States Amendment. It was a hard-fought provision that's in the Affordable Care Act, and it equalizes Medicare payments back to our producers, back to our providers, so that we aren't all paying the cost of Medicare. Now let's take a look at that. Congressman Berg, when he was in the legislature, voted against the Frontier States Amendment and continues to vote against the Frontier States Amendment. So I would submit that if he was really concerned about whether in fact we had providers who are willing to provide Medicare, that we need to retain the Frontier States Amendment. And Senator...
Need to get a response
right.
from Rick Berg. Yep, equal time.
Well, I want to set the record straight. We did have a vote in 2003 on the Frontier Amendment. And there was a resolution that came in that wasn't fair for North Dakota. So what we did is we passed another resolution that passed unanimously, Republicans and Democrats, that says we supported the Frontier Amendment. I want you to look at this because this is what I did, this is where I'm at in 2003. So we've got to get these facts straight. I mean, that's the frustration with this campaign. You know, Obamacare, which the President and Harry Reid supports, we passed 30 bills trying to change Obamacare. Harry Reid, the Senate Majority Leader, who my opponent has fully endorsed, he is wrong for North Dakota. He will not take up one of these changes that will make Obamacare workable. But let's talk about it. I agree with the Frontier Amendment. We need to deal with that. The lifetime cap. Pre-existing conditions, I think that should be done at the state level, the donut hole, and covering kids till they're 26. But you know what? Obamacare is 2,700 pages long. You know what those 5 things are? They're 10 pages long. This is a clear difference. My opponent says, for these 10 pages, let's keep this 2,700 page bill that has 21 taxes. It's the biggest tax on middle America, and it, quite frankly, does not lower cost, it increases cost.
Need to get a final response on this from Heidi Heitkamp.
The only reason Congressman Berg says is repeal and replace rather than amend it and fix the problem is because it's a good political slogan. It sells on Main Street when you say, people don't like Obamacare, so I'm going to talk about repealing it. It's like taking your car in to get it fixed, and when they offer you a replacement car, you say, no, I don't need that, I guess I'll just walk. It needs to be fixed. I have said there is good and there's bad in the health care law, and it needs to be fixed, and there's absolutely no reason to not amend the law as it currently exists. The only reason we hear this argument over and over again is because too many politicians are playing politics with our health care, and that needs to end. It's too important.
Okay, I want to get a quick oil industry for some brief 40-second responses, then we need to move to closing statements. Oil industry, each of you have elected, how would you manage North Dakota's oil industry and regulate it and monitor it? Heidi Heitkamp, you're first.
I have a great Western North Dakota plan. I put together a plan which began to address the infrastructure, which takes some of the money that the federal government is now earning as a result of royalties and reinvests it in infrastructure. It's like an in lieu property tax payment. We need to get infrastructure out there. We need to have affordable housing. We need to have water systems that work. We need to have a plan that provides better roads out there. That we need to better balance, I think, our agricultural industry with our oil industry, and I think we can all live together as long as we do the investment. I think Congressman Berg walked away from great opportunities when he was in the legislature to make those investments, and as a result, we're behind the 8 ball once again here in Western North Dakota.
A final 40-second response from Rick Berg, and then we'll move to closing.
This is one of the critical differences in this campaign. We need to support energy. It's the hope for our future of our country. We need national energy independence like we did in North Dakota, Empower, where we brought Republicans and Democrats together. We had renewables and we had traditional energy. Here's the problem. The problem is the Senate Majority Leader, Harry Reid, who you are going to put in power, you've agreed to support him, even though you know he's bad for energy, has said coal and oil are making us sick and ruining our country. This is what we're up against. We're up against regulations and taxation against our energy industry that have shut down our coal industry, and with fracking, they threaten that. And
I need to move to closing statements. I know it goes fast. Heidi Heitkamp, you're first. 1 minute.
You know, the bottom line is I'm running to put partisanship aside, running to go and represent North Dakota interests. I don't care what Harry Reid thinks about oil and gas, because I have a point of view and I have a history in the oil and gas industry that I think is a history of protecting the industry. But the bottom line, the question that I get often is, How do you make a difference? You know, we believe you want to go there and change things. You want to stop this partisanship. I tell a story about a guy I met when I was trying to get folks to get on board to stop domestic violence. And this old cop came up to me and put his finger in my face and he said, "Listen here, girlie, men will always beat their wives and you can't stop them." I said, "Boy, I hope not. I sure don't think that's true. But you know what? I won't live in a world where we don't try. We have to try to stop the partisanship and move this country forward. And that's why I'm running for the United States Senate."
Okay, 1 minute closing. Rick Berg.
Thank you. Thank you, Matt, AARP, Heidi, and thanks for everyone that's been watching. You know, I've talked to people all across North Dakota about the challenges facing our country, and one person summed it up. It was a school superintendent. He said, "Every day I see children, and I worry about their future." He said, "Rick, you've got to get this fixed." That's why I'm in this race. For my 12-year-old son, for our children and our grandchildren. I'm running to stop Washington from destroying our economy with debts we can't afford to pay back. I'm running to stop Obamacare from making our medical decisions for us. I'm running because we can get this fixed, and we can restore the promise of the American dream to our children and future generations if we take the North Dakota way to Washington. I'm asking for your vote, and I'm asking for your support to change America. We can do this. Thank you, and God bless.
And thanks to both of you for coming on Prairie Public for this
Thank you,
debate.
Matt.
November 6th is Election Day. Thank you for watching Prairie Public's continuing coverage of Election 2012. So long.
Funding for Election 2012 coverage is provided in part by AARP, a nonprofit, nonpartisan association, 87,000 strong in North Dakota, dedicated to enhancing quality of life for all as we age. And by the members of Prairie Public.